Hi, I'm Des, and I don't have a set, but I do have unfettered internet access. And this is I Read It Somewhere, a channel where we look at whatever my brain rot leads me to online. Usually that means Reddit. And today, it's r/nuclear revenge. It's just stories where you got revenge, but over the top, nuclear revenge. You're not always in the right, but it's always interesting to read. I do apologize for the lack of video on Thursday and Saturday of the last filming block last month. I'll put a schedule somewhere in this video of what those look like. But Mercury is in retrograde, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Okay, I get superstition, blah, 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 blah. First of all, look at me. I'm clearly into superstition. But second of all, everything that could go wrong went wrong. Had a million interruptions. There was a million different bloopers. My lighting setup fell on my head. I started recording, but for some reason my mic disconnected, so half of it was static. Normal audio, but I had to splice it between audio from my camera and my mic, and then run it through it. It was just everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and then I just gave up. And there's a video of bloopers, and you shall see a tag on the screen somewhere. Most of it is just from that recording session, trying to do that one singular video, which didn't even go up after an hour of recording. So with that spiel out of the way, this post is from Melissa. It's tagged as not safe for work, and it says, "Neighbor tried to get my mom fined over our shed, so I got his 40K pool filled in. Seemed like a bit overkill, but this is, again, nuclear revenge. I live with my mom. She's quiet and she keeps to herself. She never bothers anyone. A few months ago, our new neighbor decided to report her to the city for having an illegal shed in the backyard." Is it illegal to have a shed? It's a shed. I feel like if you have a backyard, you have a shed. Most people have that. It was total bullshit. The shed's been there for years and has full permits. An inspector came out, checked out everything, and left without saying a word. Again, this is dead. But the neighbor? Smug. Proud. He thought he scared us. He's the new neighbor. I have major questions for people that move into a new neighborhood and immediately start causing problems. That kind of makes me sound like a Karen supporter, but I was the opposite of that. Because the amount of Karens that'll move into a place and immediately is oh, I'm new here. You, you're all my enemies now. I'm going to ruin your lives. It's just wait a year before you start that shit, you know? Anyway, I did a little digging. Turns out his brand new pool was way too close to the property line and illegally built over a utility easement. I reported him, attached photos, quoted the city codes. 2 weeks later, the city ordered him to either move it, which is impossible, or fill it in. He lost the whole thing, $40,000 down the drain, literally. Now he gets to look at our completely legal shed every single day while standing over a pile of dirt where his pool used to be. Mom sleeps great now.
And then everyone clapped.
Someone did comment, if I have to read this fake story one more time, I'm going to redig that guy's pool. Listen, I get a good amount of the stories on Reddit that are on Reddit and then get put to YouTube videos and TikToks are most likely fake. At least a third of them, right? But that's not why you're here. You're here to read semi-believable stories about literally anything, in this case, nuclear revenge. This is realistic. You know, if it's fake, and so what? But it's realistic enough that I believed it until you commented that. You need to just suspend your disbelief and have fun for once in your life. This one's from Chaotic Lokian. It says, "You want to hit a disabled person? Have fun with 30 plus years in jail." Obligatory. Found this subreddit because of the click real quick. This happened in January, but the district attorney called me 2 days ago with the update. I'm a wheelchair user because of a fainting disorder. Severe POTS, if you're wondering. Basically, for those who don't know, it's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Basically, your heart doesn't do the heart thing, and when you stand up, your heart's supposed to pump harder to get your blood to the top of your body, but people with this don't do that. So when they stand up or lay down or in warm situations or eat or are basically when they do literally anything, the slightest thing, they pass the out. It's not fun. It is almost completely debilitating if you don't have wheelchairs and the proper support systems in place. And if you'd like to know more about it, you should go check out Jessica Kelgren-Fozard, because she's one of the best creators in the world, and she talks about this a lot. I came home from work to see a car parked right under a no parking fire lane and on the sidewalk. It blocked the way into my apartment, and I had to leave the wheelchair in my car. I started taking photos of the car because this had been an issue with the owner for months. My landlord had told me to get photos of it and email it to them every time she did it, after I mentioned it in passing. I don't think you even need to do that if it's in a no parking lane, and it's for like fire stuff. I'm pretty sure you can just like call to have them towed. Now, I don't know if you would have to like call the police to do that, but I don't even think you need to talk to the landlord. I think you can just have them towed. While taking a photo, the owner came out of her apartment to scream at me. Of course. I stayed calm and tried to walk to my apartment. She got in my face to continue screaming, and by reflex, I shoved her back. Good for you. She then grabbed me by the throat and began to punch me. Also good for her. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm of two minds here. One, I like people that don't just stand there and take it with Karens, right? I often say, like, I would start swinging. So I do appreciate your reaction when she's in your face, like, nope, that a year. On the other hand, I am also aware that if you throw hands are going to get thrown back. If you swing on someone, someone's going to hit back. So I am also aware that if you shove someone, you deserve to get your shit kicked in. I'm sorry, that's just how it works. I know we're supposed to be on her side, but you pushed her, and you were already dealing with a person freaking out. After a minute, my neighbors and roommate who were having a smoke came running to get her off me. Police were called, paramedics showed up because my neck was bleeding. She had acrylic nails, and I ended up going to the ER because I had a syncope episode while the paramedics were there. Yeah, also, super kudos to you having POTS and immediately getting into a fight. Like, you have a health situation where you can't stand up very long without fainting. You can't eat a whole bunch without fainting. If it's warm, you faint. Like, if you take a hot shower, you faint. And yet you're out here pushing Karens and like getting into fights. I can appreciate that. But also, you cannot play the victim after doing that. Sorry. Police were called. Paramedics showed up because my neck was little. I decided to press charges, thinking I'd just get an aggravated assault or something. I made sure that they got her when she was home because I knew she had a gun on the wall despite being a convicted felon. This must be in America, because in Canada, you would do some time for starting the fight. Up here, you need to react with an appropriate amount. Like, if someone punches you, you're not allowed to stab them. You will go to jail. But also up here, if you start the fight, if you swing first, it's all on you, baby. The self-defense is from hero. So it's a bit ballsy to get into that altercation and be like, cops. No, you started a fight to deal with the car situation. Don't play the victim in the fight that you caused. When the police went to arrest her, they found the car was stolen and without insurance, and she didn't have a license.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And there was used needles all over the apartment with an 8-year-old child and the gun, which was also marked stolen. Jesus Christ. I'm not surprised the type of person that would park their car over the sidewalk and in a no parking spot for utilities. I'm not surprised. But Jesus Christ, that's insane. That's a lot. The child is in foster care now. She's in jail without bond. The DA said that her child recorded it. She apparently told her to. Okay, so lady went in knowing that she was gonna start a fight. Probably with the mind of, if I provoke her into hitting me and the kid records it, then it'll be on her. It was already ruled as assault because of the overwhelming proof, plus the 7 counts of assault she had gotten in the past 5 years already. Had I gotten her nailed without outside her home, she would have only gotten probation because she was a parent. But now she lost the kid, her home, her car, and is going to be in jail for about 30 years or more, depending on what the state charges with drugs. I mean, she deserves to go to jail because of the everything about her, but I'm just sitting here thinking, she's getting over 30 years. Murder in the United States is 25 years to life. And you can get out earlier than that. And like rapists can get less than that. It's just, is it proportionate? Do we think it's proportionate? I think maybe like 10 or 15 years probably could have sufficed. I mean, she's a psychopath, clearly doing a lot of drugs, but I feel like, it was clear that she's doing a lot of drugs. She just have the kids taken away and the government like, okay, this person's high out of her mind. 10, 15 years and rehab. I'm more upset that like worse crimes than this are getting lesser punishment more than anything. But again, does this count as nuclear revenge? You didn't get revenge for anything, right? She didn't do anything to you. She parked in a place she shouldn't park, which again is douchey, but she didn't do anything to you specifically. And then she came out because she saw you taking photos of a stolen car, and then you pushed her. And then that's not a nuclear revenge. That's you starting a fight and then a woman getting put into jail for being a human piece of trash. It's not related. It's not revenge, though it is a great story. Oh yeah. Someone in the comments says, I think justice would be a better word than revenge to describe this, given all the things that apparently preceded this. Someone commented, don't do so many crimes at once, and if all it takes is one crime to unravel everything else, the objective for committing a crime is to get away with it. My goodness. If I have a stolen car, I'll make sure to have a garage and store it inside it, not even driveway parking. If I'm not supposed to have a gun, it's definitely going to be in the basement locker. Either you have a kid or you have your drugs. Never both at the same time. This woman was an idiot who deserved to get caught and receive the punishment she got. Yeah, exactly. Allegedly, my father did a lot of illegal shit in his life. He never got caught with the less than legal, allegedly, cars and stuff. Because he didn't drive like a moron. He was very sure to follow all the rules back then. And granted, it was easier because, pre-Y2K. Way easier to get away with stupid shit like that back then. But, if you have a stolen car, don't park it on the sidewalk over the utility access. And just like this person said, if you're gonna do illegal shit, do it smart. So I replied to that comment. Not every criminal is a smart or good criminal. My brother, for instance, spent half his life in jail. He thinks he's sly and good at it, but we keep telling him, if you spent the bulk of your life in jail due to your criminal activities, you're not a good criminal and should look into other job avenues. He's currently back in jail. If anything, I've learned how not to get caught by watching him. I think I would make a decent criminal. I just don't like giving up whatever freedom I have, so I guess I'll stick to my day job. Yeah, there are ways to get away with things. I'm not condoning this, and everything that I say is alleged, but this is clearly not it. But you do a certain amount of drugs, you just don't think clearly. Okay, so from what I've seen, most of these stories are very short, but this is a long one, so we're gonna have to strap in for this one. This user deleted their account, so we can't see who it's from. But it says, throw me down a flight of stairs and destroy my relationship? Well, I hope you didn't like your life. So a little bit about me before I go into this. And before you ask about it, I'm going to be incredibly vague about a lot of specifics. If you've ever worked in cybersecurity or for the government, you'd understand why I'm cagey. I graduated from high school in the late 2000s. I tried college and it didn't work for me, so I enlisted and had already planned to go after an associate's. I got into the Navy, passed quals for the Special Warfare training block while in basic, and after completion, went and started training to become a SEAL, which I did not complete because that shit is no joke. But it's cool because I went SWCC instead and became a dirty boat guy. SWCC are the guys you see in movies arriving just in time with fast boats blasting a lot of firepower at the bad guys so that they can pull our boys out of hell. Sometimes they work with helo crews, or man helos themselves. Most often, they just patrol riverways in Iraq, begging for someone to shoot at them to break the monotony. That sounds way cooler than it really was. Aside from becoming an expert in all things small watercraft and doing a good amount of diving and aircrew shit as well, I didn't get to do the cool SEAL shit. There's things I did do while strapped to a SEAL team, but I don't think I can talk about that. No door kicking, no breaching, no team shit. Only on a handful of occasions did I even get into a firefight. Side note, most YouTube Special Forces operators are former team or group guys who are full of shit and their colleagues did most of the heavy lifting. They just tell stories from their perspective, so somebody gets to tell it without divulging identities, etc. Anyway, I got out of boat shit 8 years in after being injured, and did my last 4 years of my 12-year career doing other stuff in special warfare, more cyber-oriented. I retired, collected my VA card, and went to school for a couple semesters to bone up on shit that I needed for some cybersecurity certifications. And I began working private sector since early 2019. I got my own LLC and everything. So basically, this story starts in early 2016. I had been back in my hometown for a while, which was near a major naval base. I had changed career tracks and was on med leave for a bit after my injury. So I had been able to take some time to reconnect with an old high school sweetheart of mine, and we had been dating for several months. She was my best friend growing up, and I absolutely blew it when I had the opportunity to take her to junior prom, and we didn't see much of each other after we graduated and I enlisted. So we'd grown apart, and in the several years it had been since we parted ways and reconnected, she had a child of her own, an adorable little 3-year-old girl, and Daddy wasn't in the picture, which is absolutely his loss because she was a gem of a child. We grew close quickly, and after a couple of months she'd occasionally call me Daddy, which made my heart sore. And as for her mother, I was head over heels for her years ago, and reconnecting with her reinforced old feelings because it took off like a rocket. We were inseparable for the first couple of months, and when we weren't going on fun play dates with the kid or acting like corny high schoolers after we'd send her to bed, we were texting each other at work, tagging each other in funny memes on Facebook. You know, the cheesy, dorky, lovey-dovey kid shit that's embarrassing to admit as an adult in his 30s now. But I mean, we were in love, real love, or something like that. I'd never known anything like that before. I'd been shot and stabbed. Hell, my whole injury was due to getting my leg blasted with a 7.62. I think that's how you say that. I'm not a gun person. But none of that made me more nervous and scared than this new love I was feeling. I had it bad. Oh my God, my dyslexia is acting right the fuck up. I should put on the screen what it looks like to me when I'm trying to read this as a dyslexic. Because I've learned to live with it. I've learned to live with it. But when it's long paragraphs like this on my computer and not on my reader with like the dyslexic text, it looks... However, there was a complication in the form of her brother. Some lanky, inbred wannabe gangster, I'm not saying that word, boy. We really gotta stop saying shit like that, guys. Whiter than driven snow, who came in and started crashing on her futon a month and a half into our relationship. This piece of shit had the highly unfortunate blessing of also being the kiddo's godfather/uncle. He had no blood relation to my girlfriend or the child. He was just the former tweaker who worked at the Target they both worked at, who started crashing from low blood sugar. He was coming down from whatever he was high on. So she got him a cheeseburger and a soda, which in tweaker culture is like giving a handful of gold. He was forever in her debt and became her right-hand man, never wanting her romantically as he preferred trash similar to his own kind. Thank you, God. She referred to him as brother, and he of her as sister, so naturally he was uncle to the little one, which meant he showed up in the middle of the night midway through our relationship. It was a very bad sign for me because that homeless, now jobless, feckless idiot was moving in. Our friendship started out on a very suddenly bad note. He uses a lot of air quotations. I feel like you didn't need to do air quotations on that. Because he was met with me and a 45 in his face wondering why a grown man was in my girlfriend's apartment while we were in bed and I heard something go bump. Side note, for any concerned again with the air quotations. I'm going to stop doing the air quotations. You're not getting... Your air quotation rights have been revoked, sir. Jesus. Use them in moderation, okay? The side note for any concerned citizens, the kid was sleeping between us and they didn't have any pets. So I knew whatever was making the noise out there wasn't anyone in the room and nobody else had been there. Pair that with recent break-ins in her complex and you can see why I'm justifiably armed. Americans like guns a little bit too much. An intruder is not an excuse to possibly murder someone. Cultural differences, and I'll leave it at that. Now, I did not live there. I had my own studio near the base. I stayed the night because it was convenient and fun. And with the recent break-ins, they also felt safer with me there. So okay, just pointing it out. you have this druggy best friend, and I'm not going to ridicule you for having sympathy for someone in that situation or being friends with them. Life is difficult for people, and they handle that or don't handle that in many different ways. But you have a druggy friend, and he's coming over to your place, and then suddenly there are break-ins. I think we know who's doing the breaking in. So naturally, I didn't have any say in anything regarding him living there. In an effort to placate the young whippersnapper after holding a gun to his nose, I let him borrow my PS3 and spare TV, so he had something to do. Because f*** him if he was actually going to go and find a job. Instead, he smoked weed out on the balcony all day and played Need for Speed and COD on my PlayStation. I feel like you didn't have to give him the PlayStation. I feel like we all knew what was going to happen with that, acted like my girlfriend with his mom, expected her to cook him food when she got home from work, expected her to take his laundry out and fold it for him. God, he once asked her if she could relace his shoelaces onto his sneakers because she does it better.
I mean, I'm not a therapist or a psychologist, but what is that?
That, Jesus Christ. The kid, he was 23, was a f***ing loser. And beyond just being a live-in babysitter for the actual child when Mom and I were at work because my med leave ended eventually, served absolutely no value. I'm not sure, maybe this is showing my judgmental side, I'm not sure I would trust the guy who's currently doing drugs. And I'm not talking about weed, the other stuff. So I said other stuff here. There is no other stuff. I took this guy at his word when he called him a tweaker. I thought he knew what that meant, someone that does meth. I don't think this guy knows what the hell he's talking about or what that is, and I think he's just using that word pretty liberally when this dude is literally just a stoner. However, the guy telling the story does have an active opiate addiction, and he does get violent when he's off it for a day. So, the name calling is a little bit rich, but we'll get there. Just wait, we'll get there. I don't like this guy, just a heads up. I'm not going to be on his side. I'm not sure I would trust him alone with a child, friend or no. And I assume there's other stuff, because he only mentioned weed. But he's calling him a tweaker a lot, so I'm assuming there's other drugs as well. Because if we're just being mad that he smokes weed, dude, you gotta grow the f***. It's weed. It's legal. You gotta grow the f***.
I thought I heard self-righteous clumping.
It's not the end of the world to smoke a joint once in a while. We'd come home to a messy kitchen and shit all over the apartment. Numerous times he'd leave a growler in the toilet and neglect it to flush. I hate nothing more than that. That is the worst thing in the world. Him for asking my girlfriend to do his laundry because I didn't always see TP in the water. Oh my God, he had...
Great. I really understood that well.
Horrible skid marks, Jesus Christ. That man had an itchy ass all the time, I guarantee it. He was good with the kid, though, I will give him that. She never had a dirty diaper before she transitioned to the potty, so good on him for actually being a little useful. Okay. I'm gonna hold out hope, which sounds weird. I'm gonna hold out hope that he's doing actual drugs, because it kind of sounds like, to me, you're a little bit judgmental, you're a little bit of an ass. And are being a boomer about weed. What the fuck is it about every single person that's in the military being weird about that? At least in my life. I've met like 2 or 3 different people in the military that have this weird, either they're normal about weed, or they are psychotic, think it's the end of the world, think it's like worse than meth. It's like, what the fuck? I had a ex-friend who was a piece of shit in general, but we had legalized weed about 10 years before this conversation. It was a conversation where he said, I don't care if it's legal. If I find out that any of my people, because he's a drill sergeant, are smoking weed in their free time, even if it doesn't come in on the drug tests and blah, 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 then I'm punishing them and the whole squad and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? You just be normal, you weird little ass. And it was like this for 4 months. Eventually, I was spending so much time over there that she and I were talking about getting an apartment together, so we were not paying 2 leases. And of course, dude guy was hitting us up for a spare room, which we fought and argued about because 4 months after moving in, motherfucker still had no job. Yeah, he's getting a little... I don't think it's getting a little bit too much. There's helping someone out, and then there's letting them leech off you. The guy who talks so much game about being a successful drug dealer in his late teens couldn't move legal weed. He claimed to be a professional drift car racer, but nearly backed my car into a light pole 4 times. And every single time we argued or had a little spat, his choice of words are, "I'm gonna kick your ass. If I can't kick your ass myself, I have a whole bunch of friends who can." And well, God, I know exactly the type of person this dickhead is. Jesus Christ. People like this are a dime a dozen. I know entirely way too many assholes like this. Is it bad that I hate everyone in this situation aside from the child? Now, I want to reiterate, I was not a SEAL. I did not go through the rigorous combat training the Navy teaches special warfare operators and team guys, but I learned some, enough to qualify you for special warfare. But what SEALs go through in BUDs and their supplemental training schools, their individual specialty schools, and whatever clandestine shit the agencies and JSOC have them doing nowadays was completely missed on my career track. We drive boats. We fly in choppers. We jump out of planes sometimes. Sometimes we do a mission with the SEAL team, but most of the time it's a partner force op or some kind of escort op in some territorial waterway we're not supposed to be in. Maybe we're pulling a few divers out of the murk and not talking about it the rest of the way to extract because it's one of those missions. There's a reason why SEALs are also called frogmen.
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up!
And then everyone clapped.
Who gives a shit? Jesus, you're fucking annoying. Are you autistic? Is this your special interest? Jesus fucking Christ, this has no bearing on the situation. I was also injured. I know you said so a million times. I was also injured and I could walk on both legs at this point, but if my painters weren't tracking well enough or if the weather was bad, there were days where I couldn't stand up straight without leaning on something. But the rest of my body was still in decent shape. I had trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Oh my God, you're so tough. Oh my God, you're so tough. You just let us jerk you off about how tough you are. Get to the point, bitch. Usually with these long stories, there's a reason why it's long. It adds context. This whole thing is just like, me want shoot gun, me tough guy. Yay. It's so much of it. You need to edit things. You need to not write a novel. I practiced Cali and Silet with some Filipino guys I met on base. They're why I love lumpia so much. I picked up different shooting stances like center axis, free lock. I went to CQP shooting courses thanks to my Navy career. I wasn't Rambo, but I wasn't a slouch either. Good for you. And I could kill this with my bare hands.
I'm a psycho.
You will respect my authority.
No gun necessary. With guys like these, they always want to tell you how tough they are. This ex-friend of mine learned that I was in karate, which I was doing just because it was fun. It was fun. It was a healthy thing to do. It was fun. Why not learn how to do Goju Ryu Karate Do? And I talk about it a decent amount because it was really fun, okay? But anytime he heard about it, he was like, "But you guys are so stupid. I could kill you with my bare hands. Your karate doesn't teach you how to street fight." And I'm just like, do you people not have a life? Does everything have to be just me big gun, me strong muscle, me shoot gun, yay? Like, Jesus Christ. This guy reminds me of him, actually, and I think that's why I don't like him, and it's triggering some aggression issues in me. But I loved his sister, again with the air quotations. And I wanted to marry her and adopt her child, so I bit my tongue whenever he flashed on me. Weeks went by. Every now and then he'd snap at me for some shit. Why isn't she kicking him out, by the way? I decided I'd had enough. One night when I was leaving to head home, I took my PS3 and TV with me. He loved that. He declared that I was banned from the apartment, to which my girlfriend reminded him that it's her apartment and her rules and that he needed to be respectful. Duke lent you the PS3 and TV to use. It is still his. He can take it back at any point, dude. One fateful morning, maybe a week after that, I had spent the night and we were getting up early because I needed to be on base and she needed to go to work. So we got out the door with the kiddo and we're just buckling her into the car seat when I realized that I had left my wallet inside. So I went back into the apartment and retrieved it. And as I was walking towards the front door, McGee pipes up with, "You're cleaning those dishes when you get back." Dear audience, those dishes were dishes that he had dirtied the previous night when he made a late night stoner mac and cheese and somehow needed a mixing bowl and 4 different wooden spoons to make it. Listen, when you're high, sometimes things don't make sense. Sometimes you do different shit. I've definitely done that before. Sometimes you take up a spoon, you use it, you put it down, you forget that you put it down. You get another spoon, you do the same thing. Maybe you drop it. Shit happens, but clean up after yourself. Don't be like, "I'm doing my dishes and you get back." Up. I looked at them, I looked at him, I looked back at them, and then back at him. The way you write does not make you endearing, buddy. And said, "You're high. Clean them yourself, and don't ever tell me what to do again." Valid. Before doing the damn best about face a man can do when low on painkillers and high on pain and salts walking out the door. Am I gonna say it? Or am I gonna think it? Because it's mean, but I think it should be said. You're hooked on painkillers. The opiates are worse than the weed. And do you know that? Notice how you turn into a little when you're not on them? Maybe there's a little bit of an addiction there? I just don't like. I'm not giving him an inch, honest. I'm not giving him an inch for the benefit of the doubt because I don't like him. I was maybe 6 or 7 steps down the stairwell when I heard the door fly open behind me. I turned to see him coming at me with both hands, and he threw me the rest of the way down the stairs. I landed hard on my back, knocking the wind out of my body and hitting the back of my head on the concrete deck. Jesus. That's a concussion right there. My leg caught fire with fresh pain. Yeah, you should worry about your head more than the leg. He jumped on top of me, snapping me out of my daze, and I went to work on him. I grit through the pain and started working on top of him, where I proceeded to rain hell on his face with my fist. I split his lips, I popped him in the eyes and his temple, I even gave his Adam apple a nice little tap. I was furious, and honestly, I didn't care if I killed him in that moment. Someone had to die, and it definitely wasn't gonna be me. I remember how I said you need to get your head fixed, because I'm not here for a street fight, but trying to kill someone. I know it's your job, and it's clearly your favorite part of your job, but when you're a civilian in civilian life, when you're off the clock, it's kind of bad to kill people. Yeah. I just hope you knew that. Killing people, generally bad. Especially bad when you do it off of military hours. But she saved his life a second time. She was wondering why it was taking so long, and when she heard us yelling, she came running and found me on top, beating the gravy out of him. She screamed for me to get off, and I did. As soon as I did, his mouth started running. "Sister, he threatened to kill me." I hate when people refer to people as sister or sis or big bro. It's so cringe. "He threatened to kill me and attack me and threw me down the stairs because I asked him to bring back the PS3, which she knew was and the neighbor's security camera outside backed him up. But in that moment, she was livid, and rightfully so. I took her to work, took the kid to daycare, I went to base. I had to explain to my CO why I had bloody knuckles and why I was holding a cold pack to the back of my head. He offered to call the police so I could press charges. I told him no. Yeah, probably because it wouldn't stand up in court or anywhere when, you were clearly trying to murder him and admit as much. Again, things are different in the United States, but I feel like no matter where you are, trying to murder someone's probably bad. My CO damn near ordered me to call the police or he'd put me back on med leave, which he couldn't do, technically. To which I replied, your CO needs to mind his fucking business. To which I replied that I'd rather be on med leave than lose my girlfriend or calling the cops on her brother. It was made clear to me under no uncertain terms that I am a particularly stupid kind of asshole. Yeah, well, I will agree with you there. Honestly, you should have just left. There are too many red flags. I get you like the kid. Should have left a while ago. This woman has no boundaries with this guy. He's using her as mommy. Yes, should have just left. I wouldn't have stayed around. Love sometimes isn't enough. You need to be practical. He was right. Basically, brother gave an ultimatum. Either I leave and she dumps me, or he leaves and walks out of her and her daughter's life, which, to be fair to my ex, the loser had only been a constant male figure in the kid's life since she was born, so that would have been devastating for the gremlin, and she wanted to spare the kid of that kind of pain. Trust me, This guy's not a good influence. He's not. She's going to get older, and she's going to see how this guy treats her mom. And that is way worse mentally and emotionally than just kicking the guy out. She's a kid. She doesn't really understand yet, and she won't really ask questions after a few years. But if you leave that to fester and get worse and worse and worse before you kick him out because he's using an abusing, to be clear, then that kid will have to grow up into tweens, maybe teens, seeing this guy use you as basically a wash rag to be used and discarded. And when you eventually kick him out, she's going to have that in her brain that, you know, that's how men treat women. And that's a problem. That is a problem that she needs to address. This meant that I got the axe. Honestly, I'd rather have taken an actual axe to the heart because what I actually felt was way worse. It's one thing when you're saying goodbye to the woman you love, but also to say goodbye to a sobbing kid you wanted so much in your heart to adopt and make your own. I don't want to meet the man who can hold back tears from that shit. That man scares me. Fair enough, but also I think the kid is probably better without a man in her life that thinks it's okay to try to murder someone in broad daylight. You know, again, there's a difference between fighting, in which case, by the way, all fights have the chance to go lethal. You know, I've seen it. One long punch, some guy's head meets pavement hand like yours, only it's a curve this time, and he's no longer he's flatline. Or you get into a fight, and like in my father's case, you get a blood clot that gives you a stroke a few months later from it. You know, it just every single altercation has the possibility of death. Every single one of them. Even in like protected sparring situations in the dojo, right? There's always that chance, however minuscule or whatever, but actively saying, I want to kill him, I'm going to kill him. You're not a person that needs to be in that child's life. You don't. And especially not with how you began this and how you're glorifying your military shit and what you like doing. No, that kid's better off without you. I'm sure it hurts, but you know. Them's the breaks, buddy. I went back to my apartment. I put together a little box with toys and keepsakes and clothing items they had left behind and waited for the right time to bring it by her work. I was a broken man, but that little fuck, he wanted to kick me while I was down. Remember those friends he mentioned? Well, he wasn't lying. He did have some friends with rap sheets and bad intentions, and in the months that followed her and I breaking up, he put them to work. I woke up one morning to discover my car had been blocked up. Wheels taken off, my cat cut out. They had spray-painted slurs and swastikas all over my car, busting out my windows. I wasn't Jewish, and I had been dicking his sister for the past 6 months, but somehow I was both a slur and a slurt. What my insurance didn't cover cost me $2,500 in repairs. Police were called, a report was made, surveillance footage was useless though. Faces covered, they wore gloves, so no prints, and it's not like they were rolling out the CSI to collect their follicles off the deck for auto vandalism. 2 weeks later, an attempted arson attack on my front door. Someone wearing a mask and a hoodie lit a Molotov cocktail and threw it out the front door as welcome mat. And if it weren't for the apartment's fire sprinklers actually working, my apartment would have burnt down with me in it because I wasn't jumping from the 3rd floor balcony. That was a more serious crime. Cops were very interested in solving it. But again, no useful prints, face covered for cameras, etc. Does ex-girlfriend not know that this? What is she just allowing this? Jesus Christ. Then it went quiet for a month. My ex had reached out to me when she heard about the fire, and I told her I knew it was her brother, but I didn't have any proof. She said she'd say something to him, and coincidentally, nothing happened again for a while, until I guess the cops came around asking to talk to him because obviously I gave them his name as a person of interest. In the month and some change since our spat, she basically forced him to find some kind of work or she was going to kick him out. So he had gotten a part-time gig at an auto shop in town that had a rep for being the one you don't go to, but fine to recommend to someone you hate. They cut corners everywhere they could, so it was a perfect job for the f***s. I love that. At least until the cops came looking for him one day asking about the fire. The owners didn't like cops asking about their employee, since he had only been there a week or so he got the boot. He deeply appreciated that. So one night, I'm getting home from work and I stopped at the gym on the way. worked up a good sweat, and got a bite to eat from the grocery store. I pulled into my spot in my Enterprise rental. My car was still in the shop, and walked into the apartment. Real quick, we don't need any more tangents, man. You ramble more than I do, and I never shut the f*** up. While I was over 21 and legally owned guns and had a concealed carry permit, on days where I was on base, I did not carry my pistol. It's incredibly rare for anyone whose explicit job description doesn't include carries a pistol at all times to be allowed to carry a weapon on base. Since I'm not leaving a pistol in my car, and there weren't any places to securely store a weapon while I was working, I just opted not to take my gun with me. It's also why I did not have a pistol on me the morning shit dick jumped me. I lived on the 3rd floor. There was a 4th floor above me and the stairs leading to it. I heard footsteps coming down the stairs fast, and I turned to see 4 guys in hoods, masks, and wearing gloves coming towards me. My door was open, so I dropped my groceries and tried to slam the door behind me. They got a foot in and managed to wedge through into my apartment. What followed took place during a period of about 14 seconds. The neighbors across the way, after the fire, got a security cam installed outside their door as well. So we know the actual timestamps down to the second. I kept a loaded pistol tucked in the closet near my front door. Irresponsible, I know, but I was younger and more naive than I am now. In the scuffle with the first guy who came through the door, I managed to reach my hand into the closet, find the gun, and push myself back and away to give several feet of space. I remember very vividly all 4 men in my doorway and hallway. The first guy I had pushed had been body blocked from falling backwards and was starting to come towards me a second time. I raised the pistol. This one was a I don't care, and I just heard one of them shout, "Gun." I started lining up shots and pulling the trigger. There were no limb shots, no shooting to scare them. I didn't try to wing them. Body, head, as I was trained as I had been taught. Yeah, because you really get hard about the idea of killing people. This has been a non-stop theme throughout this thing. You never defend yourself. It's always, I'm going to kill you, which is not an adult way of thinking. It's not a normal way of thinking, and you need mental help. And if you get PTSD from this, I think you deserve it. I hate the whole cast of doctrine that you have down in the States. I mean, I hate how we treat self-defense up here as well. You know, if a guy breaks into your house up here and they get themselves hurt in doing it, like if they break a glass and then cut themselves, they can sue us and bring us to court. And I think that's fucked up. But, you know, there's an in-between everything's your fault all the time, and you should let someone beat the out of you and rob your house. And killing is the first and last resort. Always have a gun on you nonsense. You know. In between there is sanity and reason. The first guy went down. The second guy caught 2 of the through-and-throughs from the first guy before I plugged him in the forehead. Yeah, you're going out of your way to be lethal, and that's the third guy stopped dead in his tracks before catching center of mass, and the 4th guy was in the hallway before I emptied the rest of the magazine through friend number 3 and whatever I could. You might be thinking, oops, the 4th guy was running away. That's murder. You're a murderer. Well, the cops didn't see that way, and the investigators in charge it that way.
I'm a psycho.
Doesn't mean that's not the case. Sorry. You are, in fact, a murderer. Yes, you are. And it doesn't matter if the legal system seems to disagree. In reality, that's what you are. Oh, they didn't see it that way because he lived. Now, the first 3 recipients of my high-velocity sleeping pills, the first guy's brains were all over the second guy. The second guy's brains were all over my wall. The third guy's heart and both his lungs were demolished by my gun that I'm not reading out the name for, and he was pronounced dead on scene. The 4th guy was my ex's brother. Of the 3 bullets that hit him, 1 grazed his ass, the other thoroughly lodged itself in his right ass cheeks, and the 3rd one hit him square in the spinal cord right around the kidney area. Shattered his spine and completely destroyed his lucrative career in competitive breakdance and bicycling. He was paralyzed from the navel down and had to have a permanent catheter to catch his piss and diaper for what was now the most useful byproduct he was capable of producing. He'd never walk again. He'd never again. That's a bit crass, don't you think? And when he was healthy enough to be discharged from the hospital, he was locked up in prison, given 3 manslaughter charges since he caught the rap for his What? What? Wait. No, explain that to me. Explain that to me, because there's a lot of stuff he should be charged. How is the guy who's being shot at being charged for manslaughter and not the guy who said numerous times, I want to kill people. I've got a job that let me kill people because I want to kill people. Numerous times I tried to kill this guy and I did not try to decapacitate them. I aimed for the head to try to kill him. And boy, bitch, explain that one to me, because I don't get it. He was also charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Yeah, because he tried to numerous times. Assault, battery, and even caught the reckless endangerment charges for me discharging my firearm in an apartment complex. See, he got that. You should have got that, because you did that. Not, I don't. Huh? He was never gonna breathe free air again, which fair enough. He doesn't deserve to. He's a piece of shit. I would like to say this ended up happily ever after, that she took me back. Why would she? He just tried to kill her friend that she considered a brother numerous times, and you just slaughtered 3 people. Why would she? Why do you think you deserve that? Like I said, nuclear revenge is not always moral. This being a prime example. I got married and I adopted her little one, and we had a couple of spares on our own. But she didn't. Within 24 hours, she declared that she was scared of me, as she should. That she did not want me anywhere near her child, again, as she should. That she'd call the police on me if she ever saw me near her home or place of work, which sucked. I really liked that target. Yeah, all this is valid. You like to try to kill people. I never saw her again. She blocked me on everything. Her family blocked me. She changed her number. She transferred to a different target, and after a couple months, she moved to a different apartment in a different part of town. It's been 8 years since the shooting, and I still haven't heard of her. I know she's alive. Friends of friends informed me that she got married in 2020, had a second kid, and is happy. So, more power to her. I never got my happy ending. Yes, that's called karma, darling. My white picket fence. Believe it or not, killing 3 guys, even for a person trained for war and could. Yeah, I don't really give a shit that you have PTSD. I've said earlier that I think you deserve it, and I'm really happy you have it. A lot of this is going to be. I just want to pop in here to really point out the fact that there was no way that this wasn't intentional. These weren't reflexes. Yes, he was in the military, but they have training there. And beyond that, he did numerous martial arts. And I only did martial arts for a little bit, but we got taught in pretty much the first month or so, don't do this, don't do that. It will kill someone. And, if you have the ability to do this sort of thing, it makes it really fucked up if you go out of your way to kill someone weaker than you. And that's what he did, in that first fight. He said he punched him in the temple. If you do that in the right area, that can kill you. He, quote unquote, gave his throat a little tap. You get taught in martial arts that, if you punch someone hard enough there, that stops them from breathing, that could kill them. And then he goes on to say in that altercation that he wanted to try to kill him. And he tried to kill him. And the only reason why he didn't is because the girlfriend came around to the break-in. Now, I obviously don't know what military training is like, but he seems to have his wits about him. And I imagine it's pretty rigorous, It's not like you're just spazzing out, hitting the trigger every 3 seconds. So he had the wherewithal in his brain to go for limb shots. He says he specifically did not. He only went for heads and only went for heads and body shot, and that's on him. And the one guy stopped to escape, and he just kept shooting. And you can't blame it on your PTSD when over and over and over again from the beginning of the story, you made it very clear you don't see this person as a human, and you made it very clear you don't value his human life, and then, you tried to kill him. Yes, this guy's evil, yes, he came after you, but, to be clear, trying to kill someone because they started a fight with you, that's not normal, and if he didn't retaliate to the point where he was clearly trying to murder the brother in that first fight, I highly doubt any of this would have happened. You just gotta be normal. You can retaliate, but don't go overboard. But I guess this goes for someone that cares about other people and not like a weirdo like this guy who clearly fantasizes about murdering people. So you know what? You murdered people. You went out of your way to try to murder someone, and then you're all surprised that you got backlash on that because hey, people don't like it when people try to murder them. You know, and then you went out of your way to murder more people. So sorry, not sorry. You're a sack of shit. I honestly hope this haunts you for the rest of your life and you never sleep well again. Fuck you. Little man syndrome. Boy. This guy thinks he's a fucking novelist. And the rest is like, I have PTSD. I couldn't touch my guns, blah, blah, blah. I'm now retired working in the private sector. He's got a new girlfriend. And he's happy because a Google alert said that Skid Mark McDipshit was dead. This guy's he's just a special piece of work. Sorry for the novel. I just don't feel like living out any of the details. Half these details don't matter. Half those details didn't matter. And actually, talking about the air quotes, not everything needs an air quote. Okay, there are so many unjustified air quotes. That's how I know that this could never be AI, aside from the fact that this is an old story. But even still, even in the end, it was Skid Mark McDipshit's last name, followed by the word obituary. There was no need for the air quotes. It was in a metaphorical obituary or a fake obituary. It was just an obituary. You don't need the air quotes. People in the comments seem to like him. People are asking, is McDipshit was the father? He's clearly not. 3 men are willing to kill or die because their friend got his PlayStation takeaway. Nobody said that criminals were smart. That's fair. This is not unbelievable. He has his ads like many low life dipshits that I know. So that's the guy that the way that he acts in this story is another thing. It's like, yeah, that's absolutely how dumbass criminals act. Very well written. I particularly like the high velocity sleeping pills. That was objectively funny. Yes. Didn't need to be a novel. Didn't need to make quotations. And there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, this isn't real. This is a fake story. One person was patting him on the back for calling him I'm not going to say the word, but it's a white and slur. Combine those two. It's still a slur you shouldn't say. It's not as bad as the N word, but it's very close. Probably don't do that. But anyway, oh yeah, this one, A+ Reddit fiction. Unfortunately, the way he described that guy makes me think that it's real, but that's it. I can't handle anymore. If you like this, leave me a comment, do all the YouTube stuff. If you dislike it, if you think I'm a dumbass for my opinions on most of this, which I presume a lot of you people disagree with me, to be fair, let me know in the comments to be civil about it. Anything helps me in the algorithm. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon. You can join for $5 and up, and you can have your name read on the screen. I am rushing through this because I'm running out of battery. I'm back at 2%. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.
And then everyone clapped.